transits past young world from the known to inhabit Shishinlu's universe. Part 1. Humanity. Following the bunker era, Shangzhen and only humans can survive. Powered by curvature propulsion, they made it to one of the planets at star DX3906. Because of the effects of relativity, several centuries have passed from the perspective of Earth. While on the world, they encountered one who had been one of the inhabitants of the vessel in space, which had fled humanity's solar system long before they learned that humanity did, in fact, prosper, and there were several groups of humans living on several planets throughout the darkness. To understand how humanity accomplished this, we have to begin with Tianmin and his story. The Black Domain was essentially created in space. To an outside observer, the space surrounded by a black domain appeared as a dimension of space. Now lowering the speed of light through a medium was actually possible, but lowering the speed of light through vacuum was something else entirely. The speed of light through the vacuum of space was one of the fundamental constants of the universe. To alter the speed of light was equivalent to altering the laws of physics, which only the most advanced civilizations within the Dark Forest. Research into lowering the speed of light through the vacuum of space began in the bunker. The Black Domain was considered as a secondary survival plan for the human race. Tremendous resources were devoted, and even a large-scale space city devoted to the research of the subject was constructed in the Saturn cluster. It was named Lightspeed 1. The creation of the Circumsolar Particle Accelerator led to the success of the largest project ever enacted under the Black Domain Project. This was the Black Hole Project. It was virtually impossible to create a local gravity field in a laboratory setting, which is why the Circumsolar Particle Accelerator was capable of creating microscopic black holes. The book gets in and counts the life of a man named Wei. He was the head of the Black Hole Project. Wei was a neurodivergent genius. Due to his neurodivergence, he had extreme trouble with communication. Change himself, to love, to laugh, to join them. He developed an association between who he break it, dissect it, stretch it, crush it. The result was a change in its frequency. The speed of light remained unchanged, like an unscalable wall. All these decades, theoreticians and experimenters alike were in despair. There was a saying, if there really were a creator, the only thing he welded shut in all creation was the speed of light. The Circumsolar Particle Accelerator, as I mentioned earlier, could produce microscopic black holes, but these evaporated quickly. In order to produce a stable one, a microscopic black hole had to be injected into Jupiter's smallest moon, Leda. Leda had an approximate at the time, such a massive body humans never moved in space. The microscopic black hole, once it was injected into Leda, began to rapidly absorb Leda's mass and grow. The intense radiation generated by material falling into the black hole melted the surrounding rock. Soon the 8-kilometer radius, Leda, melted entirely, and the potato-shaped rock turned into a red glowing ball of lava. The lava balls turned slowly, but the glow was brighter until the finally flat. Observations showed that other than a small amount of material ejected, most of the mass of Leda had been absorbed by the black hole. The black hole was stable, and its event horizon had been 1 million years. Other spaces was constructed around it. This was the light speed 2. Equipment and personnel could be brought into light speed 2 in order to study the black hole. This being the first time human beings could study a black hole in a laboratory setting led to many discoveries which helped in the development of fundamental physics. Way became infatuated with the black hole. He would often hang against the protective net surrounding the black hole, staring at it from 5 kilometers away. As time went on, however, he became frustrated with the lack of progress. He came to despise the laws of nature as well as fire. He watched its luminescence, like we're doing now, and sometimes claimed that the black hole was talking to him, deciding the message of its flickering light. Eventually, Wei was sucked into the black hole. He became one of the principal physicists of the black hole, had the password of the protective net. Outside of science fiction are the strangest objects in the universe. Beyond the event horizon, all knowledge fails us. Nothing can escape. This means that from the perspective of those outside the event horizon, an object, person, in Death's End, it is not from this perspective. Of the general relative, a distant observer can see a clock. It also stretch into He had already passed through the event horizon. Even more oddly, the figure's proportions were normal. Perhaps it was because the black hole was so small, but tidal forces did not seem to be at work. He had been compressed into the nanometer range, but space there was also extremely curved. More than one physicist believed that the body's structural way wasn't was never revealed. By the because galaxy humans, unlike solar system humans, did not have the stories of they were aware of the force that created curvature and they had been larger than a black domain, a piece of the universe. This is actually the fate of one of the planets, something which caused them to believe that their world coordinates had been exposed. The world into a black domain. After they covered themselves it was impossible to send messages back and forth from that world to others, and no one on the inside of the world. The inhabitants of the world said it was Death's End that there are some humans in the cosmos that take a rather interesting approach to life. By constantly approaching the speed of light in vessels called ultimate spaceships, they head for the heat death of the universe. Has anyone in the new world thought of going to the end of the universe? Of course. Ultimate spaceships have already been launched. Ultimate spaceships have no particular destination. By their calculations, 50 billion years from our frame of reference will be just 2 years. This means it will be possible to reach the end of the universe within a human lifetime. Humanity made a place of itself in the universe, which is more than countless others can say. But the future of humanity and the future of the universe itself remains uncertain throughout Death's End and throughout the span of redemption time. This is because of the powerful forces of the cosmos, armed with the power of three-part space-time, carrying the fabric of the universe and one such but he and Shang-Zin had not anticipated such large signs that they were visible from space. What is that? Shang-Zin never minds. Yifan recognized them right away. Don't get too close, he said to the AI. He was referring to the 5 black lines. One end of each line was connected to the surface of the planet, and the other end extended into space, like 5 black hairs growing out of planet brain. Each line stretched higher than Hunter's orbit. Brains left the Earth. Those lines are the result of extreme curvature picked up a rock and tossed it towards one of the dead bodies. This was the work of an extremely the galactic humans had come across these lines before, but they were rare for now. But considering the near eternal nature of the universe, Shang Tsung wonders how long before these permanent death lines littered the sky. Shang Tsung gazed up at the giant black columns reaching into space. They lifted up to the sky and seemed to turn the universe into a palace of death. Is this the ultimate end for everything? The group that left these death lines were known by two names to galactic humans: the Zero Homers and the Resetters. Both names referred to the ultimate mission of this group. The Zero Homers hoped to reduce the universe to zero dimensions. They believed that this would trigger the reset of the cosmos, sending the universe back to the original state. Cosmos. It was also not clear whether they were intelligence, a civilization, or a group of civilizations. not exactly singing throughout the chapter. Singer refers to humans that compared to Singer's space. We are unstructured. Comparison in light of Singer's space. There was, of course, the unnamed race of beings in the story of but their method of construction was theirs, firing This chapter also mentions the idea and a cleansing gene exist among the life forms of the inclinations of certain civilizations to hide themselves from the greater universe. Singer's race seems to be Singer muses that in the distant age, lower into the clusters like Earth's solar system were rare and far apart. Singer's race had the capability to identify single civilizations and destroy their beings. The main was to break up the coordinates, and it remembers all the positions of the stars. By matching the received data against higher dismounted relations and the position scale, it can pick out the coordinates of the Singer's ultimate choice was to unleash a dual vector field to flatten Earth's solar system into two dimensions. He did this by Singer. There's a lot of mystery surrounding the He asked the Science Council, how complicated can the internal structure of a subatomic particle be? It depends on the number of dimensions from a one-dimensional perspective. That is how ordinary people think of the particles. From a two- or three-dimensional perspective, the particle begins to show internal structure. From a four-dimensional perspective, a fundamental particle is an A subatomic particle, such as a proton, seems incredible to me. The Science Council ignored the concepts. As we move to higher dimensions, the complexity and number of structures within a particle increase dramatically. The comparison I'm about to make will not be precise, but should give you an idea of the scale. A particle seen from a seven-dimensional perspective has our stellar system included in the From an eight-dimensional perspective, a particle is a gas like a Milky Way. When the perspective has been raised to 9 dimensions, a fundamental particle's internal structure and complexity are equal to the whole universe. As for even higher dimensions, our physicists haven't been able to explore them, so we cannot just imagine the city. Those standing under the pendulum unbelievably saw a great brightness in space. It overwhelmed everything, accompanied by the wave of extreme heat. Then the light spot over the tower readjusted to normal light. When they looked up, the first sight that greeted them was light between the sky shaped like a mirror in space. Such destruction has probably occurred many times. In the long history of scientific even in nature, of universes. For example, through the decay of neutrons, also light sacrificed millions of lives. I find this concept very intriguing. The idea that our universe is makes the universe feel vast and it also makes us our entire cosmos dust cloud as the result of instructed they felt it wrong, but I think this is unlikely. Seem to have not found a single technological development that went toward the space would have been limited compared to if they had a home full of resources. So I think it stands to reason that if they didn't have such powerful technology before they turned away from their solar system, then they wouldn't have had it by the time of whatever destroyed them. Though I believe the second president was annihilated by the powerful alien, I do not think this was the end of the Israel race. Though humanity never learned to run before its it is implied that they went on after having worlds and left their mark. Restore the stolen pieces of first tried have survived long-term all those who master conscious is their ability meaning all outside civilizations. It seems that those who master the universe are also distinguished into two types: those who hide and cleanse, and those who simply hide. Those who hide and cleanse not only shielded themselves well from outsiders, they became a problem. Because the so-called cleansing gene exists in so many civilizations, hostile to all those who make themselves known. This seems to be a dark truth of the universe throughout most of the series. That is until the very end of Death's End. The ending of Death's End seems to suggest that cooperation between worlds will be the only way to save the universe from collapse and bring about the Edenic Age once again. It is not clear exactly who called this gathering.
It loaded. Okay, so take a look at Fnatic's are you on my stream?
Yeah, I had the chat closed because I was trying to read and talk, and there's too many people.
Yeah,
so I can't keep it up.
So if you take a look at Fnatic's draft, Fnatic has late game monsters, right? They have Veigar, they have Sylas, they have Aphelios, etc. But if you look at what's happening in the draft, goes Aphelios 1, and then Jarvan Azir, right? Azir controls Aphelios. So this is like Gearhulk running into Chromium or something. And then immediately, Veigar comes out with Tahm Kench. Now, immediately off the bat, the Tahm Kench is already... I don't want to say it's off theme with the Vygar, but it's already poised to be a problem. Because it's a sideboard card that's coming in early. That doesn't make any sense. Because everything's face up.
Because the goal of Tahm Kench is to protect your carry, right?
Yes, and there's a lot of weaknesses to this card.
But there's no, like, you're picking a card that protects your carry against a comp that doesn't necessarily threaten it that much.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a way to describe Tahm. Like Tahm is like Tom's like a wall, right? Like defender wall, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't have reach, and the opponent can just go flying. Like,
Yeah.
what do? Opponent just drafts
Yeah.
pure flying because they saw that you had a wall early. So it's like,
You're playing,
yeah, go ahead.
you're putting in like a countermeasure for a threat your opponent hasn't really presented in this case. So like either not picking a support or picking, I don't know what a specific example of a more generalized support pick would be, but
Right, so
would be more optimal in that spot.
Right, so there's a lot of weakness. Now, obviously, sometimes in Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Hearthstone or anything, sometimes cards that even have this are just too busted not to play regardless.
Yeah.
But that's always going to be assessed within reason. Like, clearly Tahm Kench is not in that status. He's not Giga broken overpowered.
Not.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Fnatic, they see the Azir, they see the Jarvan, and now they have Vygar, Tahm, and Aphelios. But already the Tom's too early. So then immediately, the clapback here is that Ornn comes in. So now both Ornn and Azir don't really need to interact with Tahm, because they just have modes that don't care about him, right? In general. And then as the draft...
They also have inevitability sort of that keeps up with Aphelios and Vygar, right?
Right, they have inevitability. So, okay.
So now you have this Tahm pick that's kind of the big problem within the draft so far, right?
Yes, and the Azir is also has more inevitability than Azir. So now there's problems. Now on the next pick that comes in, you have Lulu against the Tahm. So you have a flying creature or like you know what I mean? She bullies walls. I don't know how to talk about it. Yeah. So she comes in and she invalidates him. She has more inevitability. She's interacting more with her own teammates and champions than Tahm could ever hope to with his, while also punishing the fact that he exists.
Sure.
And then why does Lee Sin come in?
Because it's a good jungle pick, careful.
But okay, so you get what I'm getting at. They have Aphelios.
They're playing a comp that at least the first three picks looked like a defensive facing, like protect my AD carry comp. That's kind of what they were saying when you pick Tahm Kench. And then you say, well, what if I have a Lee Sin that just sort of dives in?
So what the what is the point?
Yeah, what you've drafted like a slow, controlling, protect my carry, go late game comp, and then Lee Sin doesn't seem to fit with like that idea. It's like a fine champion in the jungle, but like how does it team fight with your team?
Right,
It doesn't like if your idea here, like I guess if we want to talk about colors, because that's why I'm here. You would say that you're maybe trying to draft towards. You're definitely not trying to draft aggressive. You're drafting. I don't know what you want to call Aphelios, I think, but you're definitely trying to like accrue for the late game, and then picking. I guess Lee Sin would be like some kind of red card, something.
He's read something.
Then you just throw that card in there, and it doesn't combo well with the cards or the champions you already have, and B is completely against the idea of what your comp is trying to do in the whole game.
Right. So no matter what, though, like the inevitability on the side of Fnatic is worse than that of G2's, and their champions are off theme, and some of their champions don't even regardless of being off theme, they don't even interact with G2's champions.
Yeah.
So there's major draft flaws that are present.
This looks like this. It doesn't even as like someone I would definitely wouldn't consider myself any kind of expert. Like you can look over this draft and it makes sense. Like any kind of expert at all, it makes sense that G2 are just totally fine early, like have no weakness early, Like, even probably have a good bot lane, right?
Yeah.
Like Lulu's so good against Tom, and then you outscale. So it's like, where's the problem? Like, what can go wrong here? Unless you hard in early game.
Right, because you as 5 professional players know Lee Sin must try to get early advantages.
Yeah.
And as long as you can take a little bit of sacrifices just to ensure that doesn't happen. Maybe Jarvan can skip one extra count to account for something. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's like
Playing the game with the knowledge that you win eventually is insane advantage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because like that's fucking it. Like, like letting an extra 4 damage go through because you know that it still won't be enough to bring you to lethal. You know, like, so it's totally fine. Like, this is just a control concept. So anyways, so yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. Like, DRX, we'll just go over it really briefly. Like, DRX's game 1 draft, or like their game 2. Like, both of these are like, what the hell's going on?
So yeah, let's see this game 2 draft. This looks quite interesting.
It basically says, can I win in 10 minutes?
Oh Jesus Christ, that comp is all in. Which I don't like. If you're gonna go in, right, you should usually try and find a way to go all in.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Like, once you've committed to Zig bot, you're kind of like, well, we have to gain like command in the early game, because like by the time Senna gets going, you're just like, Zig is going to be irrelevant.
And the other stuff with like the Trundle, the Aatrox, and the Kalista, like, what is their purpose? They're all short range. They all can't go the distance. I mean, Kalista can scale relative to the opponent's team comp if the opponents have to come into her, if they're all also short range. But because the drafts are face up, that doesn't end up being the case this time, and she finds herself with a lot of problems in the later stages of the game. They're outranged entirely. They're out-controlled, and the inevitability factor is on the side of T1.
Yeah.
So it's another problem where I philosophically think it's really hard to make all-in red type of comps work unless you're drafting them in response to an all-in red type of comp. Or at least it ought to be that way. Because of the everything's faced up.
I mean, I guess if you can see that your opponent's playing too greedy, or you know that there's like a part of the meta where like people are running comps that are like really weak to your particular type of aggro, like, I don't know if I haven't played Ziggs Jarvan bot, but there are like different like bot lanes that are particularly greedy, like the Sona Taric stuff that used to be played where it was like super greedy, and then if you pick the all-in like Pantheon Talia or whatever the bot lanes that people were playing were, like, they've gone so greedy, they've taken it so far that you can then just all in mono red, crush them, and hope to roll the game before they ever get a foothold. That's a reasonable time to play aggressive, right?
Yes. I think that's fine. When you sense weakness, then you can pounce. In the draft phase.
It looks like you want to do, like, drafting in League should be just a scale. It's just basically a slow but sure scaling war. And yeah, like I said with the arms war, is you see it in formats, is like, you know, 1 week everyone's playing mono red aggro, and then maybe slightly next week they're playing green black mid range that beats the aggro deck, and then it's the blue white control deck that beats that, and then it's the Esper control deck that beats the blue white control deck, and then suddenly it's mono red, because how the fuck does the Esper control deck playing fucking 5/6 drops beat mono red? You know?
Right.
It's kind of a life cycle where it gets greedier and greedier and greedier and greedier progressively within reason until then aggression not once in a blue moon, it happens regularly, but
안달하지 마. 남겨줘. 아, 수가 좋아. 가고 있다고. 안달하지 마. 어이, 술좀 남겨줘. 파티를 시작해볼까? 아이, 그래. 아, 수가 좋아. 가고 있다고. 안달하지 마. 어이, 술좀 남겨줘. 파티를 시작해볼까? 예. 어이, 수준 남겨줘. 안달하지 마. 파티를 시작해볼까? 그래. 수가 좋아. 예. 안달하지 마. 파티를 시작해볼까? 그래. 어이, 수준 남겨줘. 안달하지 마.
Loaded, it loaded. Okay, so take a look at Fanatics G.
Hi guys, it's Quinn here. If you appreciate my content, consider hitting the like button. It's the best way to get the YouTube algorithm to notice this channel. If you want to do more to support this channel, consider checking out the Patreon link in the description. What does the end of the world look like? Fire? Water? Will it be us that takes us out, or something else? Humans have been contemplating the end of everything since before the dawn of civilization, it seems. And yet, we have always managed to just barely survive. Will that always be the case? Humanity, for all its ingenuity, is fragile, walking a thin line between survival and collapse. We play with fire in ways our ancestors never could have imagined. Nuclear weapons, climate change, biotechnology. How long does an intelligent species last? We cannot say. We have no reference point. It could be that we are but a fledgling species, that compared to other intelligent species that inhabit the cosmos, we are merely beginning our journey. But the opposite could also be true, that we are close to reaching our end. Existential uncertainty isn't limited to our own species. The concept of the Great Filter essentially says that the scarcity of intelligent life forms we encounter might be because advanced civilizations often hit a barrier they cannot overcome. This hypothetical barrier could be self-inflicted, such as nuclear war or ecological collapse, or external, like a cosmic event or an encounter with an advanced species beyond comprehension. The fact that we haven't observed clear evidence of other advanced civilizations might itself be a warning sign. Are we approaching that invisible threshold? Or have we already crossed a line from which there is no return? The concept of the superorganism is especially relevant here. Humanity, when viewed as a collective entity, behaves more like an emergent, singular being rather than a collection of individuals. This superorganism acts on instincts that mirror those of evolutionary pressures, survival, reproduction, competition. Even with the benefit of history and foresight, we seem unable to curb our most destructive impulses. It is as though the human species is caught in a feedback loop of creation and destruction, blind to its own demise, much